Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to talk about these special lug bolts right here called Wobble Bolts. As you can see, they don't look too different from just regular lug bolts, but they do have a special feature and they do something that regular lug bolts can't do. So before we look into the design and talk about its features, let's talk about what it can do for you. Every car has a specific lug pattern, so when you want to switch your wheels up, usually the easiest way to do it is to find wheels with a bolt pattern that matches the mounting hub of your car. That way, when you get your wheels, you just mount it right up and it bolts right on. As some of you may have noticed already, one of the biggest drawbacks of buying wheels for a specific bolt pattern is that it can limit you to the brand, design, diameter, width, and even offset of the wheels. So say you come across a set of wheels that are just perfect. It's the right color, it's the right offset, it's the right width, and the only thing holding you back is the bolt pattern. So what are your options to make those wheels work with your car? One option is to get adapters that get sandwiched in between the mounting hub and the wheel itself. One side of the adapter has holes that matches the lug pattern of the hub, and the other side facing outwards have holes that matches the wheel lug pattern. So it gets sandwiched in between that, so the wheel goes on top of the adapter, and that's how it mounts. Typically, the advantage of running adapters is that it allows you to have a wide range of variance between your mounting hub and the wheels themselves. A lot of times they're custom ordered, so you specify to the company what bolt pattern or what lug pattern is your mounting hub, and then what bolt pattern are your wheels. So say you have a 5x100 mounting hub and you want to run wheels that are 5x120, you can get real specific like that with adapters. At the same time, let's talk about some drawbacks with adapters. Like I said, a lot of times they're custom made, so it can take a little bit of time and material for adapter companies to make the ones you need. You also need one for each wheel, so that's 4 per car. It definitely can get a little bit expensive. Also, due to the physical size of adapters, it actually adds weight to the rotating mass of the whole assembly, and it spaces your wheels out, which changes the final offset. The smallest adapter that I know of are at least 15 millimeters thick. So what that means is if you have a plus 35 wheel and you use a 15 millimeter adapter, it changes the final offset to plus 20. Another thing you can do is have the lug holes on your wheels filled and re-drilled. This can also get expensive, because I highly recommend you take it to a reputable shop for doing this kind of work. Otherwise, if it's not done right, you can actually weaken the strength of the material on the wheel. This can cause a safety concern. Another thing to take into account for is if you re-drill your wheels, this can affect the resale value if you decide to sell your wheels. So how does any of this have anything to do with wobble bolts? Well, wobble bolts are actually a lug pattern variation tool as well. Just by looking at it, you can't really see what it can do to allow you to run wheels that have a different lug pattern than your hub. So what is the magic? Well, of course, there isn't any magic to it, but it's just a really simple yet clever design with the seat of these bolts, is that they wobble like this, like the name suggests, it wobbles, which gives you the ability to run wheels that have a different lug pattern than your hub. So that's how they work. Some of the main advantages to wobble bolts is that they don't add weight, nor do they change the final offset of your wheels. They're basically just bolts. Another thing is they're relatively inexpensive compared to some of the other options we talked about earlier. I'll include some links of where you can get wobble bolts in the description below, so check it out. One of the biggest disadvantages with running wobble bolts is that it only allows for a small range of variation. This really does limit you to the application and what wheels you plan to run. The most popular application I can think of is running 5x114 wheels on a 5x112 hub. So if you have a 5x112 car and you run wobble bolts, it really does open you up to a lot more wheel options. A lot of popular Japanese wheels are 5x114. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that the lug holes on the wheels need to be big enough for the wobble bolts to have a little bit of play. A lot of times wheels already come with lug holes that are big enough for wobble bolts, but if you do run into some wheels with smaller lug holes like this, you want to get a 5/8 countersink or a drill bit that drills through aluminum. What you do is just basically align it straight and then drill very slowly and enlarge the hole on the wheel, so it allows for the wobble bolt to have a little bit of play. It's not too hard of a process, and if I get a chance, I'll make a video. Here, let me show you guys how these wobble bolts work. Here I have my car that is 5x112 lug pattern, and this is a SSR type F wheel right here, which is a 5x114.3 bolt pattern. I'm going to demonstrate how I can use wobble bolts to mount these wheels onto this hub right here. As you can see, now the wheel is securely mounted onto the hub. This is possible due to each one of these wobble bolts giving a little bit of movement, which allows the variation between the wheel and the hub. Genius. Typically, the advantage of going with adapters is that